Welcome back to today's video. I'm playing skylines. In today's video, we're going to be continuing on with Paradise. Then I did decide on a name from last episode for our city. So we got Paradise, and pretty basic name, but I feel like it fits the city well. It's an island, so it's gonna be a lot of tourism for just trying to get away from colder environments to hot tropical environment, and well, this name fits the city well. And also, I just want to make this city not so much tourism, but a good amount of industry too. Not like Seaside, where it was pretty much all tourism based economy, but this one I do want to have a good amount of industry in here. But I started off by putting in some services with fire and police. Then I also put a park around behind them because I didn't really know what else I could fit in here. And also it would just bring a lively thing to this area to help fill in the plot. And also, because there's quite little capacity going into here, I didn't want to overwhelm our roads too much in terms of people coming in and out of here. And then I got to work on another big tourist thing. I know I did say I want to stay away from tourism, but for right here, since we're right near the transit center, there would be quite a bit of tourism stuff. And this is a baseball stadium, so nothing too crazy. Just one of the community ones. It's small enough to where it'll fit in here, and like I said before, I didn't really know what else I could put in here, so figured I'd throw this in because it was kind of an abandoned-ish area, and that's kind of the feel that I wanted it to be. In terms of with there being maybe an old rail station there that they just never got rid of, so I wanted to leave it there. And I also wanted to kind of just leave this area kind of a little bit undisturbed in terms of just let nature have it, and it be a little bit of a break between here and the city. And this would be quite a on the outskirts of our city, considering that the airport is here, and airports are on the outskirts of cities, since land is cheap towards the outskirts compared to the innards of the city, and also they take up a lot of room, so that would get put in over here. And also less land cost means there can be bigger stuff here. And then I moved into finishing up this side of the highway, and the first part of that was putting in an air connection into the highway, since this will also help relieve some of our troubles from that interchange there. Right now there isn't really much traffic coming in, so it isn't a big problem, but in the future it probably will be. And so I just added in that extra connection to the roundabout, and I filled in by adding in some more residential and commercial in here. And I also put in our bus depot, made it feel more permanent instead of a temporary thing. And then I moved our not rail lines but bus lines, changed the stops around to where they worked better, and also put in another one in here. I don't know if I did that. No, I did that off camera, I think, or I might have done that a bit later. But put that in here, and then I was looking for some unique buildings to put in here, just because I wanted to kind of spruce this area up with buildings. And these unique buildings definitely fit in quite well, especially with the I forget what the pack's called. It's the historic Seaside. That's what the pack's called. Those buildings, they fit in perfectly in here. Threw a ton of them all around here. In the game, I'll bring tourism, but in real life, they'd just be old buildings that would fit in with this area well, especially since it's right along the water. I do want to save quite a few of them, though, to be in the other areas of the island too. And then, like any highway here in the U.S. especially, but I would imagine it's like this around the world too, I put in a little rest stop area. Not necessarily a rest stop, but just right off the highways. There's normally a couple of restaurants and just small quick service food places or convenience stores, so I put that in here, and that definitely turned out pretty nice. And then I got to work on this. Would be less dense of an area, but this would have a lot more of those historic buildings in it, and just housing in general. But because of the hill, I just made it less dense, just because of allowing buildings to look nicer and not have steep slopes all over this place. And I also put in some commercial right along here, and yeah, turned out really nice, I believe. So myself. You can have your own thoughts, and I also put in a medical building in here to give that service. And then along the coast here, I put in a ton of different historical buildings from the historic seasides on Content Pack, I think it's called that. I also added in the big pier. There's another pier that I'll put somewhere else in the city, but that one gets to go here. And I also added in parking throughout it too a bit. And then continuing along our coast here, this is the last bit of flat land really over here that could be easily connected to everything. So I put in a nice road that goes along the water here, and then there is a bit of an area where it expands out right there. And these would be for low density homes. These homes would be probably very expensive. Couple $100,000, maybe not millions, but they would be a pretty price for these homes, and that's just because they're fairly excluded from the rest of the island. It's pretty low density over here, and they're single family homes in Paradise. So just by that, it sounds expensive, and I would imagine that especially with pretty much all islands and just tropical areas, they tend to be pretty expensive homes there. And then I got to work on what will be our next major area of working on the island. And this will be where a part of our main city development will be. There's going to be two main sections. There's going to be three, but there's going to be two main sections where there's going to be true high density city feel. Third one will be more so low density just because it's a pretty small area, so there ain't going to be a whole lot of development there, but there will probably be a good amount of industry and other stuff around there. But over here, made a way to get off from the highway, put in a main road. And this will also have our tram line going all the way around it and through it. And I've just started off with a quick little grid on the hill here. And using the same building style that we have been using. I really love this emerging downtowns content pack. I believe the buildings look really nice, and especially these residential buildings. So I've been putting them everywhere. And I love how it's turning out. And so I put them in here. It isn't a full grid, but the red layout is a grid, but it isn't too high density to where it can really feel like a grid technically. But yeah, and then also off camera I did fill in our tram route enough to where we could get trams running, and that will be the start of our light rail system. They'll go all around here. But here's the final product. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice like and subscribe. Do the next one. Bye.